Hello again, everyone. We are continuing our journey into the fascinating world of natural pearls. Today we will be watching a video of finished pearls being sorted. So it's more of the practical hands-on experience. Because theory is wonderful and we've done a fair bit of it, but only practice can truly train your eye to tell the difference between fine pearls and poor ones. And as I already mentioned, the lighting in this video isn't gonna be great. So unfortunately the video won't be able to capture 100% of the color and the look of the pearl, but it's better than nothing, right? And you might ask, why didn't we work under the bright studio lights? Well, the answer is very simple, because bright light makes your eyes tire very quickly. After an hour or so, you're just done. That's why sorting is done under very soft, dimmer light. And believe me, that is very important, as we had to spend hours and hours during the process of learning and sorting. And of course, there is no way to take the pearls outside. That is absolutely forbidden, because pearls are money, literal money in a box. If you spill a tray outdoors, pearls scatter and get lost, or worse, someone could just grab the box and run. So naturally, all sorting is done indoors all day long. Now, once the pearls are sorted, here is an interesting part. Many of you often ask us, which book should we read about the pearls or gemstones in general? Well, let me show you why books are useless here. At first glance, all the pearls in a tray may look golden, but once you start sorting by shade, boom, suddenly you realize there are so many variations. For example, we pick up one pearl and then it's too light for pile number 1 or too dark for pile number 2, so it ends up being somewhere in between. Then you need another pile for this specific type of the shade. And there are exceptions everywhere. There are strange and weird cases. There are endless criteria. We talked about criteria 2 episodes ago, by the way, so scroll back and watch that one if you haven't yet. So there are dozens and dozens of factors you must weigh at once to decide, is this pearl a good, average, or a bad one? Honestly, I do not understand how anyone could learn this at some quick online course or from a book, or even from a few training videos. My opinion, you just can't. The only way is hands-on, sorting through dozens of kilos of pearls yourself. That's how you train your eye to instantly judge quality and therefore value. We have already gone through an enormous amount of pearls in our careers here at Synergems, but we still think that we need to keep going and learn more and more. Me, myself, and the owners of the company, we keep coming back to the farming to sort more and more cases of the pearls. And then maybe in a couple of years of very steady practice, after hundreds and hundreds of boxes sorted, we will be able to say confidently, yes, I really know the pearls, I'm a good specialist. But think, even then, you are only experienced in one type. For example, if you have trained in South Sea golden pearls, let's say, you will still basically start over again when you move to Tahitian pearls. Well, maybe not from scratch, not from the 0 level, but at least from halfway again. You will still need to sit and sort and learn all over again. Like me, for example, I can't gain visual literacy from book. I just can't imagine how it's possible. The eye has to be trained live. So if you want to become a pearl expert, or at least understand pearls at a decent level, here is my advice. First, go through the theory, which we are doing right now. Then, for example, you can hire a tutor and go to the farms. And then you arrange to sort pearls yourself with your teacher. That's exactly what we did. At first, the farm owner told us, that we don't need to pay at all, and all our training will be for free. Well, of course, we were supposed to start working with them afterwards, but we were already ready to start working with them, so we still paid them, as we didn't want to waste their time and we wanted to respect their hard work. It wasn't too expensive though. We spent, I think, a couple of months there, and honestly, I only managed to push $300 in the hand of the owner of the farm. And they still refused to take it for a very long time. Of course, he knew that Senior Gems is going to become their big customer and very good business partner. But let's say you're just a regular person who is curious and want to learn. I think maybe a little bit more, like 500, will completely satisfy people there. They're not very much greedy. So if you want to learn, there is always a way. And where can you go to study that? There are many places actually. There are some in India and Sri Lanka, there are in Myanmar, in Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, even in Papua. We actually very eager to visit it one day because there are also the pearl farms there. And they have very interesting, curious culture which we would like to investigate. There are also the pearls farms in Australia, but I can't promise that there the farm owners will be happy with $500 for the lessons. Australia is a bit more expensive. By the way, all of the locations I just mentioned, they apply only to South Sea pearls. Naturally, the Tahitian pearls you can only find in Tahiti, and Japanese pearls, well, in Japan. So my advice stands. No book, no course can replace the hundreds of hours you spend actually handling pearls, sorting them by your own hands and building your own visual experience. Another little technical note before we start watching the video with the owner of the company doing his bit of practice. When the pearls are drilled, the hole is never made straight through in one go. Instead, they drill halfway from one side, then flip the pearl and drill from the other side until the holes meet in the middle. Why? Because if you try to go through, the drill will often burst out, crack the outer layer and leave a ragged hole. The nacre can chip away as well. That's why the two-sided drilling method is always used. When done properly, it's actually quite an elegant process. Alright, that's enough for the introduction. Now we're going to travel to that pearl farm together with the company owner, and he will introduce you all different nuances about how to sort the pearls and what the factor you should take into consideration when you are evaluating them.
Hello guys, so if you remember, when we were discussing the value of the gemstones, we always would say that the most important thing is the color. And here the story repeats itself. Just like with the gemstones, in pearls, color is the number one factor. Color is the most important criterion in evaluation of the material. Just take a look. This pearl here has a richer, deeper golden hue comparing to this one. But these others, while light in color, have a stronger luster. Luster is, by the way, the pearl's ability to reflect light. That mirror-like shine is called this way. Some pearls have high luster and few surface spots. And what are the spots? They are tiny surface dimples or pits. For example, this pearl has almost no spots. It's completely clean. Here is one with a spot. See, just a little indentation. And the fewer spots, the better the surface. But, and here is a paradox, sometimes the pearl with better color but with more spots will be far more valuable than the cleaner one with weaker color. Example, these pearls here. This one has higher luster and just almost mirror-like, but the color is very pale. Meanwhile, that one with stronger golden tone, even with more spots, will fetch a much higher price. And then at the very bottom tier, we have the lowest quality pearls, poor color, small size, rough surfaces. Sometimes you even see completely defective pieces. And here is the key. The cultivation process is identical. The oyster underwent exact same operations, the same care, the same environment, yet the outcomes are worlds apart. And 99% of pearls come out looking average, while maybe 1% achieve that spectacular quality. Now let's talk about the color grading. So when we grade colors, we use this scale. Deep gold, the top color, the very best. It's rich, it's saturated, it's luxurious. Then we have gold, which is still golden hue, but a little paler. After that comes the light gold, softer, lighter golden tone, and a champagne, which is a romantic naming for a yellowish color, not as attractive and less in demand. At first glance, it may seem like there are plenty of deep gold pearls in a batch, but once you start sorting, you will realize that there are only a handful. Out of whole tray, you might end up with just 20 deep gold pearls. And even within deep gold, you'll see some micro shades, some slightly lighter, some slightly darker. Then you will encounter pearls that fall into other color families altogether. For instance, white or cream pearls like that one, which belongs to a completely different category, by the way. So when you look at these boxes of beautiful pearls, you might seem that it's so many of them, but it's not as easy as it looks. Let's also talk about the main factors, luster versus surface, and how they both affect the value. So here is another fascinating comparison. Look at this pearl. It has strong luster, mirror bright, but also has spots, those tiny dimples. And now look at this one. Absolutely flawless surface, zero spots, perfectly clean, but luster is weak, a little bit dull. Which is more valuable? The one with strong luster, even if it has spots. And this doesn't mean that the matte pearls are bad, not at all. In fact, I personally often prefer matte pearls over the mirror bright ones because when the luster is too high, the pearls reflects its surroundings so strongly that you can't really see the color. It just becomes like a mirror. And I'm not very much big fan of that level of the luster, by the way. But when the surface is softer, you can truly see the pearl's body color, and I enjoy that. But still, when it comes to pricing and grading, industry standards are clear. Color, luster, size, and surface quality all play a role. And the market tends to value lustrous pearls much higher. For example, in this pearl, you can literally see the ceiling above us reflected. You can see the lights, you can see the fixtures, everything is there. That's how high its luster is. Now, look at what I found just now. This pearl has a very unusual overtone. It's pink and green at the same time. Fascinating, right? You can see it clearly, but technically it's still a golden pearl. One side looks slightly greenish, the other slightly rosy. And this kind of coloration isn't standard for South Sea pearls, by the way. It's something what you would expect from Tahitian pearls. Honestly, I should probably buy this one right now. I love that. All right, let's move on to the next evaluation criteria, the surface. Surface refers to the texture and quality of the pearl's outer layer. Here, for example, is a pearl with very poor surface quality. In trade slang, it's called orange peel or orange skin because the texture resembles the skin of an orange or cellulite, and that is considered very bad. And here is a pearl with a clean surface, excellent quality. Now remember, spores and surface are two completely different criteria. A pearl can have dimples, spots, and a rough, pitted surface. Or it might have one but not the other. This one here, for example, has a medium surface grade. You can see lots of tiny bits scattered across the entire shell. Now, here is a little insider tip I learned. My teacher told me when foreign buyers come, whether they are from Hong Kong, mainland China, or elsewhere, locals watch how they examine the pearls. If you start turning a pearl around in your fingers, examining it like this, they instantly tag you as a beginner. They will load you with higher prices. And if you want to be taken seriously as a professional, you have to examine pearls like this. Take a few pearls, roll them gently across the white surface, and examine them as they move, just with a light touch of a finger. That's a professional way. When you do that, the sellers immediately think, and he knows what he is doing, can't trick that guy. So they will give you much fairer prices. Got it? Let's practice this motion. And always do like that then. That's how to be recognized as someone who understands pearls. Now, back to sorting. The next step is counting spots. The rule is simple. If when you turn the pearl you see only 2 spots at once, it's still considered top quality. If you see 3 or more visible at once, then it's supposed to be a lower grade. Here is an example. On this pearl, you can see 3 spots at the same time. That's lower grade. Same here again, 3 spots. But, and this is crucial, color decides everything. If a pearl has 3 spots but a magnificent deep gold color, it's still valuable and expensive. On the other hand, if you have a pearl with no spots at all but the color is poor, it won't fetch a higher price. And here is another example. One pearl with just a single spot visible at any angle, which is excellent. But the color is not deep gold, it's quite pale. That means it still won't rank at the top in price. You see, the color is not deep gold, it's quite pale. That means it still won't rank at the top in price. You see, exactly like in the gemstones, color rules all. Now, another example, elongated spots, little surface scratches or lines. These are also classified as spots. And again, if the color is top-notch, that pearl can still be expensive. So remember, practice this professional motion of rolling pearls on a white surface. That's how you will get the better price and earn respect from dealers. Basing on the amount of the spots, we are going to sort the pearls into category A and B. Category A, 1 spot is allowed, but it must be shallow and not obvious. Category B, deep spots, visible dents, or surface lumps. This lower the grade. For instance, here is a pearl with a deep spot that goes into B. Here is another with a raised lump. It also goes into B level. And then this one, see the surface? Not just spots, but a rough, uneven texture all over. That's definitely a B grade. Now let me show you pearls which we selected as a category A. See this one? Just one faint spot, barely noticeable. The last is excellent, mirror bright, great shape, good size, and most importantly, beautiful color. That's top quality and premium grade. Here is another one. Again, one tiny, almost invisible spot right in the center. Otherwise, flawless. And one more, almost spotless except for a single microscopic dot. This is exactly what qualifies as the highest grade. So friends, let me point something out. As we sort, notice how many separate piles of pearls we end up with. And then when you ask us which book should I read to understand the pearls, well, it's just like with the gemstone. I honestly don't understand how anyone could learn this from book without having real samples side by side to compare. Is just impossible. For example, take color. If we only had this one pearl in front of us, we might think, oh, that is what the gold looks like. But the moment we place another pearl beside it, suddenly the differences are clear. Comparison is everything. Here is another little secret. Look at this pearl. 3 large spots, 1, 2, 3. By definition, this is category B. But, as my teacher explained, if you set it into a ring, you can hide those spots completely with the design. Tilt the pearl into the mountain and voila, no visible blemishes. And then it can be sold as a category A with a price jump of about 20 to 30%. Okay, here is the pearl with very deep pits. Definitely it lowers its grade. Let's talk quickly about the drilling and how it's made. For the pearls, we have not the usual drills. They look a bit like medical needles, except they are solid and have a slight twist. They're not hollow like syringes. And when they drill, pearl dust collects around it. And yes, even the dust has value. It's gathered and sold to cosmetic companies. Honestly, I didn't even know that it might be used in this way as well. Here, you see, it's another example of poor surface. You can see how uneven and irregular it looks, covered all with little dimples and dents. This one is even better, though still not ideal. The surface still shows small dimples all over, but personally, if the color is interesting enough, the quality becomes acceptable for me in this case. And one more, again, poor surface, but the color is nicer. And this pearl has many tiny spots, but at normal viewing distance, it aren't so noticeable actually. So with a good color, this quality can still be acceptable. Oh, look, and that is fascinating. That's the pearls that form on their own by accident. Because normally, if you remember, a nucleus, a bead, is inserted into the oyster and the oyster grows nacre around it to form a round pearl. Well, from the previous episode, you remember that many things can go wrong and the pearl might not even start being formed or come out just not as pretty as you expect it to be. But anyway, sometimes the pearl just appears to be born by itself. Let's say a speck of dust, a parasite, or some debris gets inside the oyster, and the oyster coats it with the nacre, and the result, a completely natural pearl, which has irregular and organic shape. And these two vary in quality. This one here is very poor quality, a textbook example, but it still looks interesting, actually, for the educational purpose especially. I personally love looking at this because every pearl tells a story. They're all so unique. And I just love how much creative things you can do with the style of the pearls, which are also sometimes called Barocca, as you know from the previous videos, I hope. But again, it's totally up to you. So let's summarize. Here we have examples of what we managed to sort. The poor quality, the medium one, and the very best quality pearls, all side by side. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed your little educational video and you've learned something from it. Remember that it is just the ground for building your strong knowledge in pearls. And if you want to gain a real skill, go there, go into the field, try it with your own hands. See it with your own eyes. If you need help with that, by the way, you can always text us and we can guide you through the process. As we have many connections around the world and we are never too shy to share them with you. Bye for now.